My name is Will, and I'm the founder of Motorcycle Mastery. In this channel, as well as on my Motorcycle Mastery course, I teach the riding fundamentals to new riders as well as returning riders. But anyway, in this video, I want to talk to you about the CBT course as well as the MSF course, which is taught here in the United States. And is it really a waste of time and necessary, or can you just pass it up and just go directly and get your motorcycle license? In the United States, some states require you to take an MSF course, which stands for Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. Now, these foundation courses, a lot of the times they leave people really confused and bewildered, and they have no idea what to do because they're at the mercy of the instructors teaching these courses. But anyway, whenever I took my MSF course, which was more than 5 years ago, it took a long time for me to get the grasp of things and just understand how a motorcycle works, because motorcycles are so complicating. You're looking at me right now riding my motorcycle, and it looks very natural. Like I was born to do this, but this is a whole lot of work. This is a whole lot of practice, and this is a lot of time in the saddle, refining my skills, taking over a dozen courses, and doing tons and tons of track days and everything that I've done up until this point. This is the culmination of all that stuff. But like I said, it wasn't always simple, and the MSF course here in the United States is very, and I want to emphasize once again, very basic. When you go take your MSF course, they'll teach you the controls, but you're there with about maybe one or two main instructors, and you don't get a lot of attention, and things are not explained 100%. And so in the United States, if my memory serves me correctly, the MSF course is for 2 days, and then there's also the online class portion, which is about 5 hours. So when you do that, then you go take your MSF course, but the thing is that not everything is explained properly. I have a lot of people in my comment section complaining all the time. They're still so confused with the MSF course. They don't know how to shift properly, and they're not passing it simply because the instructors aren't explaining it properly. And the 15-minute video that they watched on my channel provides them more information than the MSF course. I'm not kidding you about this. I got multiple people leaving a comment in my videos telling me about that. So that just goes to show that the MSF course and the CBT course, well, I can speak for the MSF and some people for the CBT. I haven't had that many comments about the CBT course, that it's very confusing for people, but I did get a few comments that it is kind of frustrating for European students and other students alike. Now, there are a lot of people in the United States that haven't even taken a single course. Not even a single course, and they have their motorcycle license. And then there are other people that have never taken a single course and don't even have their motorcycle license, and yet they still ride a motorcycle. It's extremely dangerous to do that. And as a matter of fact, I have another video about rider statistics, and the type of riders that normally get into fatality accidents are the ones that don't have a license and they've never ever taken a course before. But anyway, as far as my story is concerned, whenever I took my MSF course, I was still very confused about a lot of things. It took me a very long time to get used to a lot of things with my motorcycle and as far as riding on the street. Now you see, the CBT and the MSF course, they're just there to give you your license. After you've finished it and you've taken your license, like me, it's just you and your motorcycle. That's it. They don't teach you the rules of the road. They don't teach you street survival. They don't teach you body positioning. And so a lot of these things you're left to figure out on your own. And this is why YouTube is so popular with brand new riders or riders who just want to continuously refine their skills. Channels like mine, they're extremely popular, and that's only because the CBT as well as the MSF do not teach real-world skills. But there's also a problem with YouTube. The problem is that you're often piecing together free content. And the problem with that, including my own videos, is that you got students fresh out of the CBT course watching videos that are from step number 10, and then they watch another video that's from step number 5, and then they watch another video that's from like step number 6, and then finally they go to step number 1, and at that point they feel like they kind of know what they're doing, but they're still unsure. And this is where they develop bad habits, and so therefore they're missing steps along the way. they're not exactly sure what to do, and therefore the confusion mounts up on top of one another, and it just grows day by day because there's so much information with motorcycles. You got to figure out your front brakes, your rear brakes, leaning your motorcycle, as well as slow speed maneuvers, and then of course you got turns and the weight of your motorcycle, the centrifugal force of your motorcycle, counter steering. God, there's like a million different things when it comes to motorcycles that are brand new to riders that often leaves riders kind of bewildered and confused and overwhelmed. And so when it comes to learning how to ride a motorcycle, I'm actually quite surprised that a lot of people just buy a motorcycle, don't get any training at all, or they just get their motorcycle license and stop at the CBT, MSF level, and they don't increase their skills on top of that. I got another video which I put out a while ago. It was something about, I put out so many videos I completely forget. But anyway, it was about 95% of the riders are still beginners, and the beginner portion of it is just about education. Now, you see, when you go get a job, right? When you go get a job, they base you off of your education. Whoever is the most educated get the best jobs, right? When it comes to motorcycles, whoever has the most education are the safest and the best riders in the world. Of course, that doesn't just mean just studying, it also means putting all that knowledge to practical use by riding and practicing those skills in a real world scenario. I always tell people the best way to gain knowledge, number one, is to take a course, or multiple courses in my case. Number two, get a small motorcycle. A lot of people say, oh, you got to get something big because you're going to get bored, blah, blah, blah. I've already talked about it. I'm not going to talk about it again. But anyway, the best motorcycles to start out on is something like 400 or 500, anywhere north of 40, 50 horsepower, and of course, under 400 pounds. Those are the best motorcycles. And if you want to have the most fun with your pants on, that's going to be a $50 mini moto track day event. And by mini moto, I'm talking about karting track day events. These are kart tracks slash small bike tracks. If you got something under 50 horsepower, you can take your motorcycle to these, and these kind of kart tracks exist everywhere, all around the world. No matter which state you are in the United States or which country you are all around the world. If you're in Europe, especially in Europe, they got these all over the place, especially if you're in Spain. Ask yourself why these top riders become as good as they are. It's because they practice on small go-kart style tracks, they have small motorcycles, and then they level up their skills by getting bigger bikes later on as soon as they refine their craft. So, get a small bike, take multiple courses, and that's how you become a better rider. But the problem is that a lot of people stop at the MSF or the CBT and they don't continue their education because all it really takes for them is to twist the throttle. But as soon as you challenge them with a corner, that's when things fall apart. But anyway, after thinking about this a long time and then just, gathering my thoughts, writing a lot of notes, spending a lot of time doing a lot of research, that's when I decided to create my motorcycle mastery guide. It's 120 pages, and it's completely free. I give it away to anyone. There's a link down below for it if you want it, so grab it. It's there. It's free. I made it for you guys, so this way it's all of my knowledge put together inside of a book, and it also comes with a 36-minute or 32-minute video. I forgot how long it is, but anyway, it's got tons of info and it's completely free. Other content creators and YouTube teachers out there literally charge like $100 for this kind of value, but I was like, screw that, I'm just gonna give it away for free. And you know what, I'm happy I'm doing it because over 1,000 people, over 1,000 of you guys have downloaded this book so far. That makes me feel good because I've received a lot of great comments that it's helping a lot of people out. Now you see, as I mentioned before, the CBT course as well as the MSF course, they're just a starting point. A lot of people do it just to get their license, and for a lot of people, if they had the choice, they just wouldn't do it at all. And here in the United States, as I mentioned before, it's not exactly compulsory. That being said, motorcycle mastery is not a replacement for the MSF or the CBT course. I think the MSF or CBT course is something that's really important, and I think a lot of riders should take it for sure. And you know what? Quite honestly, for a lot of riders, that's the only course that they're ever going to take. So might as well take that course. But as we mentioned before, the CBT as well as the MSF course leaves a lot of riders confused. And so those type of riders go on the internet, and as I mentioned before, they try to piece together free content. And although YouTubers like myself and others help out a lot of people, my videos from the time I started creating my Motorcycle Mastery video series until now, they've got millions and millions of views. So I'm not saying they haven't helped people, but I will say that just like every other YouTuber putting out similar content, Moto Control, Moto Jitsu, blah blah blah, every one of these guys, you know them already, the content is difficult to piece together. You don't know in what order you're getting things, and everybody has a different opinion. And so therein lies the problem, because it adds confusion on top of the confusion out there, because everybody's teaching a little something different, and it's impossible to just watch one person's videos. You're going to go to another one next, and then someone else is going to have a different opinion of things. And so this is why I created my Motorcycle Mastery course, because Motorcycle Mastery is a program that is methodical. You don't necessarily need to go out there and hunt for different content just to piece things together. And when you're piecing together content, you don't know what's what. You don't know what comes next. You could be watching video number 10 and not know it, but you've missed out on the 9 prerequisite videos before it. And so it adds on top of the confusion, it builds bad habits. And so in my Motorcycle Mastery course, every single thing is methodical, and it's there to progress you from lesson to lesson, from module to module. But anyway, I have my mixed feelings about the CBT as well as the MSF course. I think in the United States, it only being a requirement only in certain states is probably a negative thing. I think it should be a requirement for every single state. No matter where you live, if you're not taking the MSF course, there should be an equivalent course that you need to take in order to get your license. Not just a written test. I think a physical test by a governing organization. And that's how you know that riders are not going to get something like a crotch rocket like what I'm riding right now and kill themselves, because the facts are there. Riders who don't have a license or haven't gotten formal training are a lot more at risk, and that's where most of the fatalities happen. So yeah, the MSF course and the CBT are great, but they're just foundational courses. So I advise you to continue your education, because that's the only way that you can ensure your safety on the road, is number 1, by continuous practice, and number 2, by continuous learning and education. Because as I mentioned before, the people who have the best jobs are the ones who have the most education and from the best schools, right? And in comparison to that, the best riders who are the most skilled as well as the safest riders on the road are the ones who put a lot of emphasis on their education and their re-education, not just once but multiple times. Because riding a motorcycle is not something that you can just, learn and then forget about, and then you know what, because you can twist the throttle and the motorcycle moves forward, that's it, you're done. You know everything there is to know about motorcycles. It's not exactly that way. Motorcycles don't work like that. And this is why I created my Motorcycle Mastery course. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more, there's a link down below. Go ahead and take a look at it, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.